Hey there guys, this is Sam
And Justin.
at the Survival Review, and today is October 1st.
Yes. So that means we're going to be doing a bunch of horror reviews throughout the month.
Hopefully follow through on it this year.
Yes. It's what we normally do every year, aside from last year.
Yeah.
And we're starting that out with, if you can't tell,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
the original classic.
Yep. And we'll be talking about a few other Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but today is just the original.
Yes.
And to honor the unfortunate passing of Wes Craven, the director of the series, or the first and
New Nightmare.
We're going to be talking about 1, 3, and New Nightmare.
Yes. The 3 movies that he had involvement in, and the 3 that happened to be the best of the series.
Yeah, definitely the best of the series, and kind of follow each other almost.
It forms a little trilogy in itself.
Exactly. They're definitely the 3 that are the most fun to talk about. They're just really good movies.
Yes.
But
so,
today's just the first one.
The original from 1984.
And it really is a classic.
Yes.
It's honestly, like, I could still say to this day, it's a scary movie.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Like, some of the later movies in the series definitely, like, had a lot more comical moments.
Well, not even that necessarily. That the sequels get bigger.
Yeah.
But there's still stuff in this one that sticks with you.
Definitely.
Things in the sequels don't stick with you and aren't as memorable as stuff in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The imagery in this movie is what makes it stand out the most.
The imagery in this movie, the effects, just the dream sequences are scary.
Yes.
Like,
and they're not even like big elaborate dream sequences. This is like a pretty, it's a pretty small movie, even though they do some big stuff with like effects.
There definitely is some.
It's scaled back compared to what you'd expect out of these movies, which is how the first movie in these series always go.
Exactly.
Of course, everybody talks about Freddy Krueger in this movie, and in the series in general. And I love his character in this film the most out of all this in the whole series because he's actually scary in this movie.
Yeah, he's a really dark character in this movie. In the later ones, he's a lot more like over the top and just ridiculous at times. But like, he's really Freddy here.
He's constantly in shadow in this movie. You never really get to see a good full look at his face.
Yeah.
If it is, it's like in really dark lighting.
Exactly.
Which just makes him even scarier. And even though he messes with his victims a bit, you got the scene where he's cutting his fingers off and stuff like that, he doesn't joke.
Yeah.
He doesn't crack jokes.
Yeah, and I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are times when the joke cracks aren't bad.
Yeah, it works in some movies. We'll get to that in the third film.
Yeah.
But it's a lot scarier when he's just this scary, burnt guy with these finger knives.
Yeah.
That's just, it's terrifying.
It seriously is. Like, if I didn't see this when I was really little, and I'm glad because this movie would have scared the hell out of me when I was little.
Yes, there's a bunch of moments in this movie that they stick with you. You got Freddy and his arms stretching.
Yeah.
And then you have the scene in the school with the body bag.
Yeah, and every time Freddy loves to scratch his claws on metal or on things, and it's just this really uncomfortable sound, like nails on a chalkboard, and it's just, it really makes, like, just when you hear it, frightening and just uncomfortable.
Exactly. The cast in this movie are all really good, although they're not convincing as teenagers.
Not really.
We're still wondering if that one boyfriend character is a teenager or not.
He can't be. He's like mid-20s almost.
The other people are believable.
Yeah.
The main character in the movie, Nancy, played by Heather Langenkamp, that's how you pronounce it. She's actually the thread through all of these 3 movies.
Yeah.
And she's really good in the part. She's really believable as this down-to-earth character who gets put through a bunch of crap in this movie.
Definitely.
And then, of course, Johnny Depp in his first movie.
Yeah, first movie he was ever in.
Plays the boyfriend of Nancy.
Yeah, and he's really good.
He's good.
Like, as good as you would expect Johnny Depp to be. Yeah. He's a great actor.
Yeah, well, as good as you expect somebody in this kind of role. It's not the best thing in the world.
He's not going to win an Oscar, but like it was definitely, he was good in the role.
Yeah, it was cool seeing a young Johnny Depp in this movie.
Yeah, and then of course Robert Englund.
As Freddy.
As Freddy, he was Freddy in all the movies except the remake, but who cares?
Yeah.
And he's just amazing.
Yes.
He really is a frightening dude.
It's not just the makeup and the costume that makes that character great. It's the performance.
It definitely is.
If it wasn't Robert Englund playing him, the character would not be the same.
Not at all.
He just brings so much to it, and it's just so frightening. Like
Robert Englund is Freddy.
Pretty much.
There's really, I can't imagine another actor playing him.
And for being, I think it was kind of a small movie at the time, at least it looks that way, there's a lot of big effects.
Yeah.
The effects in this movie are phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
The first death scene where the girl's being dragged across the wall onto the ceiling.
Yeah, with like a rotating set.
Yeah, it was a rotating set that was just rotating. It's insane. And
it really is just freaky.
Yes.
And like, of course, the famous scene of Johnny Depp's death is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Seriously insane. So much blood.
It's ridiculous. But even little stuff, like even the scene where I guess we're just giving away a ton of spoilers in this review, but the scene where the blanket kind of wraps around the guy's neck is all well done. It doesn't look fake.
Yeah.
You can't see the strings or anything. It just looks like something's just moving on its own, and it's creepy.
It really is.
Though, even though this movie is great, I do find a few flaws with the movie.
I don't think it's a perfect movie either. I think it's an incredible movie, but it does have its little...
Yes. The major flaws come in the third act. Mm-hmm. The third act is where some of the dream, logic kind of falls apart a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of
confusing.
Iffy. Yeah, it's weird the way they try to make it... I don't know.
Yeah, they establish rules around the movie. And some of it works, like she can bring stuff out of the dream.
Yeah, because she brings a hat out of a dream.
And that stuff works fine. But then there's some stuff where it's like there's kind of unrealistic things happening in the real world. But it's like, this is the real world. Why is that happening?
Yeah.
Like what happens with the mom at the end. Not the actual ending, but during the climax where she turns into a skeleton and goes into the bed. I don't completely understand.
It's weird. But...
And even Freddy's demise in the movie is really kind of and I don't get it a whole lot.
I didn't think it was bad. I think it was just,
Yeah. And also, I get the idea of it because it's Freddy in the real world, but Freddy just gets his ass kicked. That whole ending. He just immediately
beat up. Is seriously, it turns into Home Alone for a bit.
It just kind of demystified Freddy a bit, made him a little less cool.
Yeah.
I can understand, it makes sense for him to be getting beat up a little bit, but should have been a little bit stronger than that.
Yeah.
And then the actual ending, which was added in later because Wes Craven wanted a happy ending, and the studio wanted a franchise. Yeah. So they changed the ending, and the ending is just, it's a cheesy ending.
It is, and
the
effect of the last, shot of the movie is kind of just dumb.
It's silly looking.
It really does look stupid. It looks like just a really bad mannequin gets pulled through a little window.
Yeah.
I mean,
that part doesn't hold up.
No.
But aside from the third act, the rest of the movie's awesome because it's a very inventive movie.
Yeah, and I don't think the third act is bad.
No,
it's just flawed.
I
don't think. Yeah, it's flawed and it doesn't necessarily live up to the rest of the movie.
Yes, because the movie is very unique in the story. Yeah, it's technically still a slasher movie.
Yeah,
because it's still teenagers getting killed, and you got the ones that are having sex or dying first. So it plays off those cliches, but it does it in such a unique way, and that's what makes it memorable. The whole dream aspect is so different and interesting because everybody thinks about dreams all the time. So it makes you think about the movie a lot. And it's so well done for the first two acts.
And it's really scary because everyone has to fall asleep eventually.
Yeah.
So there's really no escaping this killer that gets you in your dreams.
Yeah, it's a terrifying idea though. If you go to sleep, you're screwed, but you have to sleep to live. So it's just a great idea. It's just a brilliant idea. Just Wes Craven, man, he's a really good.
He's a master of it. And we're definitely gonna miss him.
Yes, definitely.
But out of 10, what would you give this movie?
I'd give it a 9.5.
9.5? I was actually thinking the same thing. I think 9.5 is pretty accurate for this movie. It's amazing. It has some flaws.
Yes.
But overall, it's one of the best horror movies ever made.
Yes. It's definitely a classic. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't, like if you think Freddy is like this jokester and you don't like the movies because of that, don't worry about that. Freddy is still scary in this movie, even if you've seen all the sequels and know that he can turn to a completely goofy character.
Yeah.
He still is actually terrifying in this movie. The sequels don't diminish the first film.
Exactly.
Which is great, because we just rewatched it.
Yep.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, Freddy's still freaking me out, even though I've seen him do a lot more stuff in other movies and be a lot sillier in other movies. I'm still freaked out by this guy. Yeah. So don't let the sequels fool you or anything. Still check out the original.
Yeah, and it just attests to how much the first movie holds up.
Yes, exactly.
It's really that good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about all we have to say about the first one.
Yeah.
Next time we'll be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 3,
yes.
The Dream Warriors.
Yeah. So if you see that review, don't ask where's our Elm Street 2 review, because we're not doing 1 on 2.
No, we don't really care about that movie.
No, nobody does.
Yeah. So until then, we'll talk to you guys later.